Greetings once again. This is Stan Hustad for What It Takes. And this is just a simple, short little lesson, more of a reflection than a tutorial, but I hope you'll find it useful for you. Well, I have oftentimes said to people that storytelling is the only effective means of communication. And you're going to have to deal with me on that. But the other stuff, the data, the facts, the figures, the statistics, all of that falls short of communication, because communication is really where we build relationships, where things can actually happen to us, for us, and with us. We are not just people who take in the data. We are people who are longing to be in relationships. And so when we do storytelling, we not only enhance the communication, we make it more emotional, real, and relational, and sometimes even spiritual. And that's vital and that's important. So part of what I hope will happen in our times together is that we not only just communicate information, but together we begin to solve some problems together. We learn the things that are important together, and hopefully we will have better lives, better businesses. We will find more and more what it takes, and we'll be able to, as we say, not just share good ideas, but share ideas and actions that truly matter. I hope that'll happen. You know, one of the stories that caught me and one of the scenes that kind of struck me lately was a couple years ago, maybe not quite 2 years ago, but the story section on the movie, the film, and then the production called The Bible, which in effect the rather talented producers of that film said, we'll try and tell the whole story of the Bible in 10 series. Obviously that's a great selective editing process, and you take a risk whenever you try and take something that's huge and make it smaller. But that's what they did. And I was particularly moved by this one scene that struck me. Now you may or may not remember, maybe you didn't, or maybe you didn't see it, but what happened is that at the very final scene, Jesus is talking to his followers and his friends and those who are very much committed to carrying on his message before he leaves, before he departs, what is called the Ascension. And he has a very interesting line. He doesn't say, well, I want you to, make it happen. That's important. He didn't say, let's manage things well. He didn't say, let's market it. Let's market the message. Let's manipulate. He had a very simple little command, and it was, go and teach. Now, I've been a teacher in many ways for a number of years. I actually started my career as, quote, a professionally certified teacher. I think it's interesting right now that even though I teach people all over the world, in many ways I'm not legal to do so. I have no state certification anymore that says you're a teacher. And in some of the academic circles, even though I've got a pretty extensive education, the fact that I probably don't carry a research degree, a PhD, means that in some cases, well, you wouldn't be certified, you wouldn't be hired to be a teacher. You know, teaching is in many ways, I believe, a calling that we all have. Years ago, a man named Will Durant, who wrote a huge volume of books about civilization, quite extraordinary. Someone said he got assigned a term paper on due history, and that's what he did for all of his life. After writing these massive books, he actually wrote a little book at the very end of his life called The Lessons of History. And I remember one of those lessons, and it was this. He said the line between civilization and all that it means and the barbarism and the law of the jungle is a very thin and fragile line. And unless we teach and speak and care and nurture, all of those good values will fly away, that they will disappear under emerging barbarism, that the law of the jungle will creep into our lives and our societies much faster than we think if we do not maintain the teaching element. You know, teaching a holy calling. That's what it was at first. And now we've professionalized it and certified it and organized it and bureaucratized it so that sometimes it's almost unrecognizable. Remember that old story that a good idea becomes a movement, and a movement becomes an organization, and an organization becomes a business, and a business becomes a racket. Well, that decadent progression can certainly be illustrated in many things, and that's why everything needs to be renewed and revitalized and recharged with new emotional and spiritual and profound energy. We all need reforming all of the time. We all need renewing all of the time. So I've been thinking about that perhaps what we really need to do is to take once again the call to be teachers seriously. And I mean everybody. I am finding great joy in coming back from my lifetime career of consulting and coaching and broadcasting to actually use some of those skills and those gifts back in the teaching arts. It's a bit natural to me, but it's not natural to my personality. I can assure you, if you check my personality, I am introverted off the map. To actually get in front of hundreds of people or thousands of people or speak as I once did to millions of people on the radio is not something that came to me. It's something that I sought to learn how to do. And I had good teachers who helped me do that. And hopefully I've passed on some of that teaching to others. And they are carrying on the tradition of good and ethical and profoundly helpful and useful broadcasting. And hopefully I've been a good teacher as a coach to the many clients and customers that I've been able to have in my career. But I really want to encourage you now to take the call to be a teacher seriously. What are you called to teach? What if we required that everybody be a mentor or a teacher? What would you teach? What would you tell people about? What have you learned? What wisdom, insight do you have that you could share? Remember, we talked about the TED Talk says it's an idea worth spreading. Well, at WiT, we say it's ideas and actions worth sharing. That means it's communication, not just spreading, sharing that truly matter. What would that be? Now, can I encourage you to think about that? Can I encourage you to get involved in that? Can I ask you to perhaps join us in trying to bring back the vitality and the power of using the modern internet phenomenon to actually teach people good things, good stuff, stuff that changes lives and saves civilizations. And it can be the smallest stuff, and it can be the most profound stuff. They all help preserve the good stuff. So I just simply ask you to think about that. Would you do that? Would you tell me what perhaps your reflection brings about, what you're thinking about? Perhaps I can help you find a way to share it and make it real. Now, by the way, since it's Halloween, now that actually comes from the word Hallowed Eve. Those of you who know something about that holiday or whatever else they call it, Halloween in the United States, North America, and other parts of the world, or Hallowed Eve, based on a spiritual tradition. Do you know what it is? Well, maybe you need to learn about it and teach others about it. That would be fun. I've got some spooky deals. I've taken 4 of my classes and courses that usually are $19 to $29. And if you would check them out, everything from how to be an entrepreneur to branding and marketing yourself and how to be on the radio, they're going to be $2 for this coming week. So why don't you sign up and learn something and then go out and teach it to others? I'd be grateful, obviously, for your business, and I would be more than grateful if what you learned you shared with others. So, once again, I'm Stan Hustad for What It Takes, and I wish you all the best and blessings, and I hope I'll see you around again.